And then I guess the disciplinary panel have ruled that he has deliberately kicked his leg.
Yeah,
But
yeah. I,
how much is a player actually in control of his act? I don't think he's seeking to hurt anyone. I think he's probably seeking to get his leg released so he can get on with the play of the ball.
Yeah, and if Josh Charnley can read, because it suggested yesterday when he questioned this without going and reading the charge sheet that he can't read to find out why he had this, um, I wouldn't have been surprised if this was one that went to a disciplinary hearing today, because I thought, unsure about that. There was another incident, wasn't there, where he kind of got involved in a bit of a scuffle. I think it was very close in proximity to this incident, but I can't say there was bits of the game where I zoned out, but. So I was the same as you with that. But they did talk about on the Simbin programme that striking is another offence where it starts at a higher level of grading now. So that's why it's a grade C for something that looked potentially innocuous. Yeah. Matt Davies got a one-match penalty notice for his dangerous tackle. That was the crusher tackle that saw him Simbin towards the end of the game.
Oh, yeah.
That was a bit weird. He kind of had the tackle completed and then moved the player into a sort of crusher position.
Yeah.
He didn't need to do it.
No, it did seem, strange.
Couple of bits of news sort of around this week as well that relate to one of the teams in this game, Warrington. Do you want to share the first of those?
Yes, Warrington forward Ellis Robson has joined Super League newcomers Toulouse on a 1-month deal.
Yeah, he made his debut in the game we're going to talk about next. The RFL are investigating allegations that homophobic language was used towards Warrington player Rob Butler in a recent game. Butler, who's 23, and also I don't know why he's not. He's got big size. I don't know why he's not getting a go in the first team. Reported an incident to the referee during Warrington Reserves game against Huddersfield. The identity of the player involved is unknown, and the RFL's match review panel has referred it for further investigation. So it's a real shame if that has happened. We'll see what comes of it, I suppose.
It is a real shame if it's happened, but equally, I really hope it has happened rather than a player making it up.
Yeah. I suppose the best case scenario is Rob Butler's misheard something and misconstrued something rather than made something up or something like that, but it hasn't happened. But the worst case scenario is obviously that it's happened, and it's another thing we have to be dealing with in our game that we shouldn't have to be dealing with at this stage in 2022.
Yeah, although I also you worry how much footage there will be of it for it to be proved or disproved.
Yeah, it's going to be on the accounts of the players, isn't it? I can only see it being based on that, really. But something Joshua can give us insight on, isn't it, is kind of the chat on the field once he's done a few games.
Yeah.
Let's move on to Saturday and the upset that nearly was. Toulouse 28, Wigan 29. It was actually 18-10 to Olympique at half-time. The first half-time lead of the season for them. 5,466 were there, including the healthy Wigan contingent. Aaron Moore was the referee. In terms of the team stats, unsurprisingly with that scoreline, there wasn't much in the stats. It was close in metres with Toulouse making slightly more, but Wigan made ground at a slightly better average gain. Wigan had an extra break, but errors set them back. 11-5 error count for Wigan. That was poor. Yeah. Only the second time this season a team trailing at half-time went on to win, which is interesting. Fewest penalties in a game so far this season as well, with 8, 4 to each side, although League Express had it as 9. Also, the first 3 drop goals in Super League this year were all scored in this match. Until this game, none had been scored this year, and then you go and get 3 in one match. London buses, eh?
Yeah, I hadn't realised that there were 3. I've not really seen much coverage about this at all.
Well, Gigo and Pelissier both kicked one in the first half.
Right.
Kind of as the first half was winding down. And then Harry Smith popped up, obviously, in the 79th minute to win it.
Yeah, so individually, you've got your teams the wrong way around, haven't you?
Well, I have, I suppose, but the moral winners were Toulouse, weren't they?
Okay, so the moral winners, Team Stefani scored 1 try, made 40 tackles, 6 tackle busts, and 3 successful offloads. Eloy Pelissier with 42 tackles, of which 10 were marker tackles. Gadwin Springer with 106 metres. Matty Russell with 1 try, 114 metres. And in terms of the moral losers, Wigan, I like that. Jai Field with 2 tries, 1 try assist, 148 metres, 2 clean breaks, and John Bateman, who never plays, with 112 metres.
It's funny that he's been in the stats roundup every week this year. Brian Davies said, really great performance from Toulouse. Dodgy start with the first try, as easy as you'll see. I thought it was quite exciting and good play, but anyway, whatever. Looked much better with Elwha at hooker for the whole game, and we had more go forward with Gadwin Springer and Ellis Robson on the bench. We should have finished Wigan off when we got the lead, but class told, and whilst we bizarrely failed to go for the winning drop goal when we had the chance, Wigan were never going to do likewise.
Callum Percy 99 said, only Wigan could do this against Toulouse. Wow.
I think he thought we lost as well.
Yeah.
David Hunter said, how did Wigan get away with that? Unfortunate for Toulouse. I think Super League needs to lose, so it is even more of a shame that they didn't finish it off.
Matt Speakman said, having only seen the 15-minute highlights, the standard looked poor. Struggle wins are still wins there, and we'll see if the rotation paid off next week. Huge game.
Robert Cheatham at Robert Cheetah 14 said, Matty Pete made an error. There's 3 lads better than the player he picked on the wing. Hanley, Halsall and a lad on loan. He won't be playing next week. End of. He's talking about Abbas Miski there, who I'm not sure necessarily that Hanley is a better winger than Abbas Miski, but on this performance, Robert's winning the argument.
Tommy Edwards said, better team lost. Trinity will be relegated. Toulouse have more fight in them as seen in the first 4 rounds.
Interesting take. They play against each other next week, so that'll be put to the test, won't it? Big game. I wish that was on TV.
Yeah, so what's your views then, Mark?
Well, 2 well-worked tries from Wigan in the first 10 minutes, and you sort of felt it was going to be an easy win. I was listening along on the audio coverage that the club puts on the website, and I thought, oh, happy days. Wigan were rolling down the field. We had 2 goal line dropouts back to back, so we were in good position again. This was in the first sort of 15 minutes or so, and then the errors started really, and it was unfortunately 2 of the guys brought in, Harry Smith and Abbas Miski, who didn't take their chances that Matty Pete gave them, unfortunately, even though Smith did score the winning points, so that gives him some credit back. So Harry Smith threw a short ball that Tony G intercepted. Toulouse didn't really make much of it, but they made a bit of field position. On the next possession, Wigan coming out of their own half, around about halfway line, Harry Smith threw a pass on the last tackle that was intended for Hardacre out wide, but it hit Liam Farrell on the shoulder, sort of head area instead, because Farrell was expecting to start chasing a kick, not having to look out for a pass. So obviously Harry didn't make the right call there. That set Wigan back again, and then the next set that Wigan got was on their own line that the ball was turned over, and Abbas Miski dropped the ball, I think, on the first or second tackle, and then really the Catalans halves kind of took over the game, particularly Tony G.
The Catalans halves.
Did I say Catalans? Toulouse halves. Well, they both did play for Catalans, didn't they?
Last week you talked about Toronto rather than Toulouse.
Oh, I'm having a mare. But do you know who else might have been listening and heard me talk about Toronto rather than Toulouse? It's Tony Gigo, because they went for these reverse short side kicks that I talked about being damaging to Wigan against Huddersfield, and Toulouse did them again. Miski wasn't able to take 2 contested balls that led to tries. I think when you watch them, rather than listening to what they said on the radio, they were tough takes, but at this level, if you want to keep your place on your side, you've got to take them. And they led directly to 2 tries, those errors. Before Toulouse's best try, without a doubt, Gigo's own try. Brilliant chip back across the post that was just in a kind of position where no one could gamble on where it was going to go. By Lucas Albert, and Gigo just finished it before the line. Then he kicked a drop goal. He kicked a 40-20. He assisted. with a long cut-out ball for Armitage's second try when he run a power play on the last instead of another kick that Wigan was struggling to deal with. By the way, Wigan, Anfield in particular on the Armitage try will regret the effort they put in. But Armitage is tough to handle. You can get him defensively, as Jay Field's try at towards the end of the game from the first tackle on a scrum set will show you if you've seen that one. But in attack, he is a real handful.
Yeah.
Also a handful, I thought Sangare and Springer were both a handful for Wigan when they came off the bench. So, Toulouse's pack were better than Wigan's in this game. Wigan's pack had some moments, but overall, Toulouse's won, I've got to say. And, yeah, on balance, Toulouse were better in lots of areas than Wigan. Gigo and Alba were really good, but for how good they were, Bry points it out, Sarah, they struggled to set up for a drop goal in the last 15 minutes when they had a 6-point lead. And
which classic setup for a drop goal, really, isn't it?
Yeah, and then when they finally did set one up, because Wigan's goal line defence did improve after that really pathetic effort on Armitage's try, to be honest, but it did improve. The scramble got really good, because I've watched the game back last night and actually seen what I was listening to, but the game in the end came down to 2 charge downs where Wigan were better with those situations. So one, Gigo finally set up for a drop goal. Joe Shorrock's blocked it, but blocked it facing the play, saw where the ball went, picked it up, made a break to halfway, and then on the end of that set, Hardacre had a go at a drop goal, but Toulouse blocked that, but the player turned his back on it, so then the ball bounced, and Wigan were quicker to react to it. That set up the position and possession for Smith to kick the drop goal to win it. So
right, yeah.
It really came down to the way those 2 drop goals were approached, and one team just had a bit more killer instinct about it, and it was the team that no one wanted to win, I think. But there you go. That's what happens.
Yeah,
sometimes.
And that is what you expect from a team like Wigan, isn't it? That they have just got that little bit more nous, that little bit more muscle memory of how to win a game.
At this level, for sure, yeah. And Wigan do have a pretty poor record against newly promoted teams away from home. They lost to Lee, didn't they? At Lee, it was like 50 points to 30 or something ridiculous. They lost to Catalans in their first game. They lost one of the games at Paris. They lost to Widnes one year when they got promoted. So, and I think one of the other times Widnes got promoted, they only beat them by a point as well. I remember going to a game away at Salford where I think they were either low down in the table or just come back up, and they beat us there as well. But there was a sending off in that one. But yeah, we're bad against bad teams traditionally, but we've not got much better. But we scrapped to win, Sarah.
Yeah, and that's all you can do, really, isn't it?
Yeah, one bit of news to mention from this game. Wigan Warriors head coach Matty Peet has been named February's Betfred Coach of the Month. More for the performances prior to this game, which happened in March, the ones in February. You got to credit the guy for the start to his head coaching career and turning around a side that was miserable to watch last year to a side that scores 5 tries a game or more.
Yeah.
Let's move on to another game that I don't think we'll know very much about, if I'm honest with you, Sarah, but we've got some fan views. Huddersfield 34, Salford 2. Salford did take a 2-0 lead with a penalty goal, but it was 14-2 at half-time, and then Huddersfield stretched out to that comfortable win. 5,702 there. Tom Grant was the referee. For Huddersfield, over 1,500 metres made and better than 96% team tackle success rate. Better average game, more breaks, less than half as many errors, fewer penalties conceded. It was comprehensive stuff from the Giants in this one. Salford not only fell under 1,000 metres, they were actually under 700 metres, with 13 errors and 10 penalties costing them as well. So it was an abject performance, and the numbers back that up.
Yeah, It is bad.
Yeah.
So in terms individually